Schalke. Oh, they've done it! Terodde, an instant hero! Can you believe it? Plenty attacking! No! The comeback is complete! A stunning second half from Schalke!
Blau und Weiß sein Leben lang. Hallo Leute, willkommen zum einzigen Schalke Podcast auf English. Jawohl, officially the world's only English Schalke podcast. Welcome to episode 134 of SchalkeMerica. I'm your host, Richard Carmen. Joining me, as always, for a Victory Monday, Jack Mangan. Jack, how we doing?
Doing well, yeah. Brief detour last week, but back on the Victory Monday train, which we love to see. Although, a game that I think is going to be interesting to talk about in the sense that if all you did is look at the scoreline, you may have said, hey, comprehensive win, bounce back, back on track after that poor result. But it's very much, I feel like, from a lot of the conversation, and we'll see if you agree, just a result that didn't really seem to do anything for the spirits of sort of the fan base, despite, the 3 points, but the performance itself left a lot to be desired, and there's still a lot of the same questions remaining that we've had so far earlier into the season.
That is true, and one of the questions we do not have is about Terodde, and we see obviously in the chat, Pascal's in here. It says Terodde the Beast. Greetings from Kentucky. Greetings, friend. Hey, you're near Nashville. Maybe you should drop in Nashville NBC4 and take a picture for us. Just saying. He says Pascal kind of agrees with you. He says Gramozzi still has not an offensive game plan. It's sad but true there. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about in this episode here. Obviously the game, because as you mentioned, Jack, we got some things to talk about there. But there was some news this week. There's a new CEO with Schalke. For those that don't know, we'll share the screen real quick just so you guys can see. Let me find the link here. Of course, I'm not ready. Why would I be prepared?
It's live television, folks.
Live television, folks. There he is. All right. So Bernd Schroeder, he's the new CEO for Schalke. Not many people know too many things about him. Obviously, it's not a lot of the Germans do, but at least here in the stateside and in Canada, maybe not too many people know about him. So the supervisory board unanimously voted him in to become the new CEO. So he's going to join an existing committee of Peter Knabel, who's a sports director, and Christina Ruhl-Hammers, who leads finances, HR, legal affairs, to become the new CEO. And this is effective January 1st, 2022. His responsibilities will include strategy, communications, marketing, and sales. And he comes to us from Bayer Leverkusen, I believe. So yeah, it's something that adds to us. I know Schalke was very Alex Heffer was very high on his hiring. He said Bernd Schroeder is the best conceivable choice to lead our club into a successful future and perfectly fits our mold. So, I don't know too much about this guy, Jack. I don't know if you do, but again, it's news. It's something people need to know about because the supervisory board is constantly changing. It's going away from the guy in the past who we're trying to distance ourselves from. So. I guess this is a good step forward, huh? I guess it's a wait and see, obviously.
Yeah, I've heard that one of his absolute first top priorities is expanding access to Schalke TV, which I'm sure you and I can both get behind. So that's going to be we'll see. No, neither of us are going to pretend that we have much of an opinion on some of these hires that go on. I'm not. I haven't done a lot of looking into it or research, that kind of thing. But generally, some of the people we've brought in recently, I think Schroeder top of the list from a sporting director standpoint, viewed pretty favorably, and remains to be seen. But hopefully, beginning to be on the right track to kind of pull ourselves out of the mess we've gotten ourselves in over the last couple of years.
Yeah, we rely heavily on obviously the fans. We're fans just like you, so we rely on other fans to tell us more about things that we maybe not know. In this case, Pascal's saying that he's skeptical about this guy. He's a native German, lived there until in his 20s, so he knows about him. He might be okay fit, but from what he knows, he's done an average job so far. So we'll see. Hopefully, the hirings they've had recently have seemed to work out. Let's hope this one works as well. We'll judge it once we get a little bit better of a time frame here, 6 months to a year, really see if he can do anything, got to give him a chance, get his feet wet. So, but yeah, that was that. So I thought we'd share that with you guys. Let's talk about one of the highlights of the game in terms, obviously, Terodde. Terodde now 1 goal away from the Zweite Liga record, 152. There's nothing this guy can't do, Jack. He's inching closer and closer to Dieter Schatzschneider's record of 153 goals. Former Schalke player, by the way. Since 1981, no one has actually scored more than Terodde in the Zweite Liga. Obviously, people want to scoff it's a Zweite Liga, but to score as many goals in one league is very, very impressive. This guy, no matter what, service or not, he finds a way to score. I mean, this guy is just a poacher in the true sense.
Yeah, what is it now? 10 goals in 8 games, something along those lines.
To
start the season. I mean, yeah, it just continues, and he's papering over so many cracks at the moment in the team, and you really do have to ask yourselves like where we would be without him. Not that there aren't some of the goals that he scores that are well worked, moves, that sort of thing, with multiple people contributing, but so often that's where the production's coming from, and you just kind of wish we could expand around it. But I mean, enjoy it while it's happening. Who knows how long he's going to be on our team? If it's just going to be this season, what's going to go on, beyond now. But it very much as advertised, probably better than advertised, better than I would have expected to start the season. I mean, it's not like I had expectations that he would score 10 goals in 8 games. So, but yeah, he's just everywhere, and he's constantly in the correct positions. And he's putting himself in a position to get these things done for us. So it's just fun to watch every single weekend, and I'm really enjoying it at the moment. You're on mute, my friend.
Live TV, folks. Live TV. So Gramozzi says, I was trying to say, did comment on Terodde being basically the one-trick pony for Schalke at the moment. He says, we can't count on Simon to score in every game. That is why we also have to make the others responsible. We undoubtedly need the flexibility, Gramozzi has talked about. But he says, what happens if Robert Lewandowski doesn't score for Bayern or isn't available for Bayern? And to that point, yeah, he makes a point, but Bayern have a lot more ponies in their stable than we do. And so if he's not there, Muller's going to step up and all the other guys. We don't have that right now. Bolter, you maybe got Bolter's going to score, but who after that? We talked about this last season a little bit with Serdar and Harit. Obviously, they're midfielders, not strikers. But you don't want to rely on one person. Great, he's doing fantastic work. 10 goals, 8 games. It's unreal. But other people need to step up as well, and other people need to do their job to make it easier on him so that he can score and we don't have to worry about it. But it's a luxury. I mean,
and it gives you so much confidence as a fan too. Even being frustrated with the state of the system at the moment, knowing that we're in all likelihood going to be able to score more efficiently, perhaps, because that Terodde doesn't need as many chances to finish these things off. He's so efficient in front of net, and he has a nose for goal in these ways. You can, and we'll talk about this with the first one in a couple of minutes, I'm sure, but very much you can be getting up to very little in the opposition final third, and then it just takes one moment for this guy to be on the end of something and change the game. So and then as a Chicago Bears fan, to talk about American football for a second, just my entire experience as a fan of that team has been waiting for a quarterback to arrive.
Andy Dalton,
the Red Rifle, right? Yeah. No, I mean the whole Justin Fields saga, whatever. But I feel like a decent amount of my time as a Schalke supporter, not nearly to the same extent, so I'm not trying to be dramatic, has been a team where we haven't just had that guy up front that we can consistently rely on to bang these goals in. So as I've said on a number of podcasts, it's just so much fun and such a nice change of pace to go into a match with that kind of confidence in that position, and to see it so often, come good for us over the course of 90 minutes.
Yeah, we'll get to this about the coaching here in a minute, but I do want to address Pascal's comment. He says, he's not a replace the kind of coach kind of guy, but he does miss the days of Jens Keller. Feels he was fired unfairly, and he did have a short stint at Schalke, and so you wonder how it would have been if he had a little bit more time with that. But let's get into the.
Go ahead. An appearance from the Jens Keller truthers here in September of 2021.
It happens. Anything can happen, my friend. Anything can happen. All right, here let's get into the lineups in this one. We'll start first with a home team, which was Hansa in this one. So in goal, they had Kolke, back four of Neidhart, Meisner, Rosbach, and Meyer. Midfield five of Rizzuto, Bond, Frode, Behrens, and Omladic, led by Verhoek. Decent lineup, Jack. I'm not going to lie that I was worried about any of these guys because I didn't really, frankly, know about these guys that well. Anyone stuck out to you, or are you the same boat as me?
No, but just the man up top, Verhoek, I think their leading scorer.
Yep.
Like with 3 goals maybe coming into this one. So just their danger man to the extent that they have one. So somebody to keep an eye on. And
Yeah.
He actually ended up being an interesting character in this game because I think he had some kind of cheap fouls at times and some shoves and some things like some extracurricular activities, you might say, at various points in this match. It certainly seemed to be an interesting figure for Rostock.
Only thing missing from him is the bolter scowl, right? All right, looking at our lineup, the big news of the game was Martin Frazel would be in goal over Ralph Fährmann. Gramotzis has been vocal about the poor play of Fährmann lately. I think is a bit unfair. Obviously, last game he struggled a little bit, but I think up to that point he had been playing well, in my opinion. I don't know about you, but they're bringing Frazel. If you don't know anything about Frazel, watch his highlight videos. He's very good with his feet. If you watch the game, sometimes overconfident with his feet, and he's a good goalkeeper. I think overall, I don't think the quality was going to be the question with him coming in. It was just that what we did to a legend like Ralph Fährmann, benching him so much in the last couple of years. I honestly didn't know too much other than a couple of videos I saw. I was talking with our friend Abel Mezaros before the game, and he gets to share me with all these videos and stuff with him. So I'm glad he did. Did you know much about Frazel before the game?
No, not that much, but I thought this was an interesting and somewhat surprising move. And I'm much more of a consumer than creator of content on Twitter these days, and for most of my history there. But I was strongly debating kind of going into a whole thread, and then I figured I'd spare everybody. But I'm going to take that opportunity now for a minute because, I mean, here's the thing. As you and I always say, Fährmann has limitations as a goalkeeper, particularly some of the things that are becoming increasingly valuable, particularly the feet attributes of a lot of these guys, is not the strongest part of Fährmann's game and never has been. But outside of the singular mistake against Karlsruhe, which was a bad mistake, not even the most egregious, right? I mean, he was kind of unsighted there. Still knocked his own goal. We said that. I mean, it was a bad moment from him. But apart from that, in terms of like the shot stopping and his general play, pretty good. And it bailed us out on a number of occasions. So to me, to kind of, in my opinion, throw him under the bus to some extent for that result, and bench him after one mistake was surprising, and I think incorrect. And I mean, and if his contention is, well, Frazel, is better with his feet or whatever. The issue with Gramotzis' system right now is not that he doesn't have, the correct goalkeeper in terms of distribution. Yeah. That's not the problem. Like let's be real here. Like there's things that you can fix. Having a Fährmann in net that are going to make your team perform just fine, if you get them up and running. So, it was weird. And also, fine, even if you want to go with Frazel and you want him to be your guy going forward, how many times in recent seasons for Schalke have we seen, goalkeeper makes a mistake, gets the axe, they throw the next guy in, and then, maybe he makes a mistake shortly thereafter. And then it's like, okay, well, then what do you do? I mean, like you took one guy out because he made a mistake. Now the other guy gets infinite mistakes. Like it doesn't make sense. And it usually becomes this back and forth, and neither goalkeeper seems confident. And it seems to kind of be to the detriment of everybody. So yeah, I was disappointed. One last comment, especially once again, Fährmann restructuring his contract, still one of the highest paid players on the team, but like restructuring his contract to stay with the club in the second division. And I was just very surprised by this decision.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I mean, I guess you've learned nothing of the years when we had Schubert and what's his face that were in goal battling now. There's constant rotating of goalies there. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's not the problem with the goalie tenor was. And I think it was just a small mistake by Fährmann, and it was undeserving by him. But to his credit, Frazel was pretty good, I thought, in the game. Very good with his feet. Like I said, overconfident at times. He seems to love to take on the attacker one-on-one. And it's dangerous when you're playing, especially if it's a close game, as usually Schalke matches are. Yeah, he was inserted into the lineup in this one. Looking at the back three, it was a familiar back three: Tiao, Itakura, and Kaminski. Midfield 5 would change. So the normals, you see Owayan, Salazar, and Drexler. Wouters was inserted in the 6th role, and then Aiden, someone we've been asking to see more of, was on the right wing side in place of Cherlinov. And up top, you obviously had Bulter and Terodde up there. So thoughts on the insertion of Wouters and Aiden in this lineup?
Yeah, well, you and I had speculated a little bit last podcast about, how Gramatis would go about things in the absence of Pallison now that he has that 2-game suspension via that red card. And Wouters actually wasn't what we had predicted in terms of how he was going to change things, but ultimately keeps basically the exact same shape, same system, and puts Wouters in there. Aiden as well. I mean, I'm not going to try to claim that like you and I have said that Aiden is clearly the best in that position on the team. But I do think that you and I have said that he's looked very convincing every time he's come in so far this season, and that we think that maybe some of the praise going Cherlinov's way is a little hyperbolic at this stage to some extent. So, I mean, listen, Aiden came into this game and I thought looks like he belonged there basically the entire match, like didn't question it at all, made some nice plays. I thought he was one of the better players on the pitch for us, honestly. Throughout the course of that game, and then had a big impact that we'll talk about later too. But yeah, I'd love to see that because that in a season where we've had so many of the young guys that we had been looking forward to seeing not being available, being loaned out, moving on, that sort of thing. Timo Becker, right, late cameo in this one again, but not he's another one. For example, it was nice to see Aiden get a full 90 minutes and take advantage of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. He was one of the better players of the match. I think we'll get into more about him and his 90 minutes of action. But yeah, the main thing the difference between what we've seen from Cherlinov, which has mostly been offensive talent and not so much helping out in the back end. Aiden has been really good, both offensively and defensively for us. And he's played in a multitude of positions in that midfield. And so I think just having him on the pitch was a plus no matter what. We saw in this game, both offensively and defensively, he was able to help out and is one of the most consistent players in the game. The comment says, we still have Danny Rose in the U19s, worst case. So the goalie rotation, we can still keep going with that. But yeah, this was a very interesting game. A team who's below us in the table that we probably should have. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything here. We're in the Zweite Liga. We're hoping to get back to promotion into Bundesliga. A team as big as Schalke should be dominant in these kind of games. After coming from the Bundesliga, we should be dominating these kind of games. And then, yes, last year and the years before we've been struggling, but our hope was that we'd come to the Zweite Liga, start dominating games, get our style, our swagger back, and eventually go back up sooner than later. We haven't seen that yet. We've been winning.
How frustrating is it to fairly consistently this season in the opening 15 minutes of games just look completely adrift? Doesn't matter who the opponent is, they look like they're all over us, and we're kind of like scrambling to survive oftentimes in the early stages of these matches. I think that was the case again here before things ultimately calmed down a little bit. But once again, just kind of coming out and getting punched in the mouth. Luckily, not with a goal as it happened inside a minute against Karlsruhe, but certainly a lot of pressure being put early and struggling to cope with it and not looking convincing at all.
It looked like we were playing almost Regensburg again, where it was just constant pressure. It felt like maybe optics will do that to you, but it felt like Hansa was putting constant pressure on us. We were struggling to get anything on the offensive end. It took a while for us to get a shot, I feel like, on goal, and I think it was something from distance from Salazar or something. We escaped the first half, obviously 0-0. Oh, no, excuse me. We had a goal in the 42nd minute. Terodde gets a goal out of nowhere. It's funny because we were joking on the live stream that much like the last game where he's pretty much all invisible all game long, he's going to pop up at some point. And he did in the 42nd minute. Gets the goal, Jack. It felt like almost against the run of play there, but it was definitely a relief considering how the first half was going.
Absolutely. I mean, completely against the run of play. I mean, the match had calmed down a little bit by that point, but certainly not a situation where we were looking convincing at all or had, any sort of momentum. It wasn't a goal that was coming, so to speak. I mean, all first half, I think you saw a lot of action between, the center backs and the midfielders kind of back and forth. And once that ball got into the midfield, it couldn't advance to the next level. And there was very little service and very little opportunities for any of our strikers. It seemed that, you just really couldn't progress nearly as much as we needed to. And that's why, you and I have talked about being pleasantly surprised with somebody like Kaminsky early in the season, because when you're having these sorts of issues with ball progression in your midfield, It's even more valuable to have guys like Malik Chow, Kaminsky, who can occasionally bypass a couple lines of defense with an over-the-top ball. And you saw in this case, nothing's really happening, and Chow right on the midfield line hits this diagonal over the top. Fair enough, it's kind of a broken play because it was going to Bolter and it kind of gets knocked out wide to Oweyan, but Oweyan picks it up in plenty of space, and then you could see Terodde, he's literally pointing towards the near post for the ball. Great ball in from Oweyan and kind of a glancing header back post of the keeper, and just clinical stuff from Terodde. And once again, Oweyan providing the service and being the danger man and getting some of those balls in from wide, which is what we've been lacking so often. What continues to impress me and be one of our better players this season.
No, absolutely. And this is what you saw as a predatory instincts of a striker like Terodde. A defender knows the ball is going to him, but they still can't do anything about it. He makes the perfect run, made the perfect glancing shot, and scores past the keeper. It was brilliantly done, I think, by him to beat the referee, beat the defender like he did, and then get the goal on there. So great way to get the end of the first half. Obviously not the statistics standpoint that you want to see, but we got the lead. And our hope was that we could regroup at halftime, come out and perform much better, because obviously it was a poor first half. You would imagine had that goal not happened, you would hope Gramotzis would have been yelling at the team, like, what the hell are you doing? Why are we struggling against a team that's below us on the table? The goal, I'm sure, changed that conversation a little bit. What we saw coming out of the second half is another Terodde goal. This guy just turns up in the 49th minute, gets another goal there, 2-0. That would make it 152 in his Zweite Liga career. We're putting one behind Schneider. But yeah, again, predatory instincts from Terodde. Doesn't need much, but the times he gets, he puts them away.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, it was a fascinating sequence of play because seconds before Schalke score on one end, it was an opportunity for Rostock, a ball played through and a one-on-one with the keeper. And this is what you were talking about, Frazel kind of like running out and really putting it on the line and putting pressure, which, is great, but you get concerned when he gets a little bit like, overly optimistic Manuel Neuer type stuff where he's venturing maybe a little bit too far from his goal, but did really well there and came up with a huge stop in a 1v1. I mean, that was essentially a 2-goal swing in Rostock's opinion. It looked like they were about to tie it up, and then suddenly it comes down the other end, and Drexler, not Oweyan this time, Drexler popping up on the left-hand side and stops to get it back on his right foot and plays a beautiful ball for Iden, who was hand up in the air for like few seconds, like calling for it as he's making that off the shoulder run to the back post, and great ball comes in, and instead of shooting it, he kind of stops for a second as a defender and the goalkeeper kind of collapse into what they think is going to be the shot attempt, and he very quickly just plays it back across to who else? Simon Terodde, who is in once again the perfect spot, and he has very little reaction time and just is ready for it immediately, side foots it straight in. Beautiful play from, great transition play, great ball from Drexler. Really, really composed, mature play from a youngster, and Iden in that moment to not take the shot when it wasn't on and to find somebody that quickly. And then once again, Terodde doing Terodde things. Crazy. You kind of feel for Rostock there, because I think that sequence in particular, but also the entire game, a little bit hard.
Normally would happen to us. That normally would happen to us. All that.
Yeah. Certainly the scoreline is harsh on the performance they put in this match.
I don't know about you, but I feel like all of us, all Schalke Nation, were screaming at Aidan to shoot. I mean, he's wide open, shoot, and he smartly holds off to it. It's like, oh, why don't I just give it to Terodde? This guy scores every time. Hand it over to him, perfect pass, and like I said, Terodde was ready for it. Very heads up play, because I was getting ready to yell at this guy if we didn't score that play. I didn't even see Terodde. I just saw the goal in my mind. So obviously I'm not a good player, so I'm not playing there. But yeah, good goal overall. Good team sequence there to get that goal. At that point, I thought we were sitting pretty. We're gonna running this thing out, and we kind of shifted to as someone said it online. I forget who said it. It might have been Paderborn's English site saying Gramosi shifting to his famous 5-3-1-1 defensive formation. Which they liked. I don't know if I liked it as much, Jack. I don't know if you did either. It's we're playing with fire. We've talked about this many times this season, where we think we're better than we are defensively we can lock up shop and nothing's going to happen. The possession was obviously skewed in their favor, not just after the 2 goals. It was all game long. And I think it made us all of us had a little bit more white hair after this game because we were worried when are they going to score? When are they going to score?
At least we had the insurance goal this point. It wasn't
Yes.
It wasn't like,
A little bit
score
easier
one and then
breathing.
we drop off entirely as has been the case so often. And we think we can hold it. We at least, kind of kept the pressure up early into the second half and got that second goal. They didn't dominate possession. I don't want to make it sound like it was totally one-sided.
No.
Once again, it's still frustrating when it seems like it doesn't really matter too often who our opponent is, and it's the opposition that kind of has the lion's share of the play and is affecting things. And so often it's set pieces, it's transition moves from us, and we're really struggling to build in possession from open play. It almost was a Terodde hat trick, almost was 3. Because
hit the post.
Oweyan on the set piece, another great ball in from Oweyan, and Terodde hits it off the post, as you said. So could have even been better, but once again, all these things are these dead ball opportunities, and you would like to see some sort of improvement in the system at this point of the season, as we said last week, and it's just not there yet. It's still kind of like Zalazar's gonna run around. Sometimes in possession and try to make a couple things happen, and then you just hope the ball somehow falls into the gravity of Terodde and he bails us out. And it's a formula that's been working enough so far, but is it sustainable?
Correct. And I wanted to, and during this live stream, I wanted to be like, Terodde's going to go for his hat trick tonight to tie the record, but I didn't want to jinx it. He hits a post, and I'm like, oh, he's going to score, and then eventually, didn't score. But you could tell my worry was that when he got to 152, like he did, the team was going to stop trying to take smart plays and try to feed Terodde. And when you're not feeding him already, you don't want to mess the play up any worse than it already is. So either way, we escaped this. What I like from this match, and I'll get to the comment here by Ryan in a second. What I did like from Frazel was that he was on his toes. A couple plays, he came out, met the attacker and cut off the angles. Had he sat back, was he hesitant a little bit? It could have been a goal easily for Hansa. So I like what I saw from Frazel. I thought he had some good reaction saves. That one save right there, you talk about 1-on-1 with a striker from Hansa just before our goal. Overall, I thought he was good. Obviously good with his feet. A couple plays where he tried to be a little too cheeky with it, and he nearly lost it. Like I said, he loves beating the attackers like it's a nutmeg or something like that. Hopefully he doesn't go for any nutmegs, but I was happy with his performance. I'm sure he's going to start next game unless Gramozzi loses it again and says I want to go with Danny Rose or something like that. What are your overall assessments of Frazel's performance, and then just in general how we looked towards the whole game?
Yeah, he was good. He had a couple big moments in this one. Improvements over Fairman in certain aspects of the game. I still think the change was premature and sort of unwarranted and unnecessary. But I thought it was a fine move, and I'm not going to be upset if they continue down that road. I just wish it would have been, through injury or once again through some sort of sustained for a couple matches dip in performance from Fairman, because I think it's harsh on him.
Absolutely, especially as a club legend as he is. It was certainly unjust for him. But yeah, Frazel came in, did the job. Dude is ripped, by the way, after the game. They all posed for pictures, and dude looks like freaking ripped. Anyway, I digress. It's funny about Frazel. There was actually a highlight of him against Ajax because he came from the Dutch league, and he had something like 16 saves in one game against Ajax. So he can come up big when you want to, but like you said, it's the reasoning for the switch was a little suspect to us as opposed to a real reason like injury or something. So looking at Ryan's comments here, says you guys are amazing, keep the good work. Thank you, sir. What's your opinion on Rodrigo Salazar? How can we get him more into the striking position? I don't know if I want to get him. This is me. I don't know if I want to get him into the striking position, Jack. Obviously, just because we have Bolter and Terodde. But I do want to see him in a more advanced roles. I think we all thought, or at least I thought, that when he came in, he would be more of that central attacking midfielder role. And he's been more of a box-to-box kind of guy. Not that he hasn't been good. Not that he's been running his ass off. But he's not been the creative spark that we hoped we would see. And that's what we kind of talked. We wanted to see Aidan in there, maybe Cherlinov moving around to create some opportunities, because other than Terodde poking his head up and getting a goal, where's the creativity coming from? And it's not there.
Yeah, I think within Gramotz's system, we kind of expected that to be more of like a marauding 8 type. And so far this season, as we've said on numerous podcasts, at least I in particular hadn't been particularly impressed, and I thought needed a little bit more out of him. I actually thought in this game against Rostock he was better than he had been. And maybe this is just, I don't know, me paying more attention to him at the wrong time or something like that. But I thought this was an improved game from him and was more along the lines of what I would like to see, ideally, in terms of kind of his productivity and what he's contributing to us with the ball. I also thought that Drexler was very good in this game too. So I thought two guys that didn't have maybe great performances last week both stepped up centrally for us, which was big. Funny enough, just on a side note, second consecutive game where I feel like Bolter was pretty ineffective relative to how he had been starting the season. But Salazar, interesting. I think we're still kind of trying to figure out exactly what we would like to see from him, how he's gonna, in what ways he can most affect the game for us. But this past one I did think was a slightly improved performance.
Yeah, I agree with that. Williams says there was a great chance that he had, and he could have passed to Terodde and chose to shoot himself. I did notice that in the first half in particular, the front three, when I talk about Terodde, Bulter, and Salazar was probably the best of the three in the opening half. I thought he was the one going for shots, mostly long distance, but he was actually trying to be effective to the game. Terodde had been quiet up to his goal in the 42nd, and Bulter really was non-existent as well, other than a couple of runs here and there. So I thought Salazar was trying and did look better in this game, and Drexler as well. So I agree with you on that. But yeah, we're still gonna wait and see. You mentioned Bulter hasn't been playing as well lately in terms of goal scoring. He's still contributing, but I wonder if it'd be worth a shot to give him a little bit of rest and put Salazar maybe as a second striker or something and see how that would work with Terodde. I'm curious if that would work or not, or if you want to rest the big man and have Salazar as a second striker, but maybe Ingolstadt's the way to go because they give up the most goals this season so far. But we'll see. Yeah, Salazar, just wait and see. Hope he does better.
I mean, it certainly wouldn't be the weirdest thing we've seen after Hamza Mendel, Weston McKennie.
I was going to bring that up too.
Striking partnership. So, I mean, it's probably not what I would do with him, but I mean, I don't know. You could.
Since you mentioned those two, I think that was David Wagner who did that, right? Was that David Wagner who did that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Wagner, he's with Young Boys. He's actually in Champions League. They beat Manchester United last week. I think it was last week. So look at that. David Wagner.
Pain.
It is pain. They're probably going to get killed this week, but anyway. But yeah, anyway, I digress. Yeah, it wouldn't be the weirdest thing we've seen by far for Schalke, but I don't know if Gramotzis is that experimental as Wagner is. So anyway, yeah, we win the game, and as you mentioned, for those who just saw the scoreline, you're like, we were awesome, blah blah blah. But you watched the game; it was not convincing at all. We were relying too heavily on Terodde to score these goals. Not enough creative opportunities. The midfield, I thought, was the big. They just kept giving it away. It seemed like anytime we got the ball on our defensive end, we cleared it away. It was very frustrating that we couldn't hold on possession, and I kept screaming, "Bring on somebody who's going to hold on to the ball a little bit longer in that midfield," because the transition from defense to midfield to attack was non-existent. It just seemed that we constantly kept hoofing it away, giving the ball back to Hansa Rostock, and that was infuriating to me, Jack. I don't know if you saw the same thing with the lack of involvement with the midfield, at least early on, where we were just hoofing it off. Maybe I couldn't remember if it was the beginning of the game or end of the game, but non-stop giving the ball away. We couldn't connect 2-3 passes together.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as bad as certain points we've seen, the last couple of seasons with us. But yeah, it was very, very difficult for us to build anything. And I thought, especially earlier on too, Rostock actually put a lot of high pressure on the center backs in possession, to kind of unsettle them and made them not be able to kind of cycle things as well as they normally do. So didn't cope with that as well as I would have liked to see us cope. But yeah, it's. I don't want to sound spoiled just because we've been so starved for positive results and goals and wins that, to not be maybe more excited than, about it and grateful for it and happy, I kind of feel bad in some respects. But I mean, yeah, if the goal is to get promoted, 8 games into the season, do you feel like we're seeing anything in terms of what Gramotzis is setting them out to do that's ultimately going to move us past this sort of,
cluster.
Middle part of the table where we're hanging out like 9th, 8th, 7th, that kind of thing. I mean, is it going to get us where we need to be? And I'm not entirely convinced that it is. It's once again just skating by on disallowed goal for them. I mean, rightfully so. It was offside, and a couple nice, well-worked moments for us. But you would like to see something a little bit more consistently promising than some of these like brief flashes that we have to rely on to get results.
I mean, look at the table. Points wise, we're within reach of first place. We're within a win of being
4 points right now.
4 points from us and Regensburg, who are in first.
Yeah.
And 3 points from second place, and we're I think 1 point from second or third. I mean, excuse me. So from that remarks, we look. Oh yeah, we're looking in good position. But this is such a tight league. It's the amount of mistakes you can make it's minuscule. And so I was thinking about this after the game. Is like, so say let's play. Prognosticated here. Say we qualify for the Bundesliga. Is this a team that's gonna stay in the Bundesliga based on the way we play right now? I don't know about that. I like to see the style of play change dramatically if we want to do well in the Bundesliga. Now, granted, go to Bundesliga, things could change. Who knows? We've seen that before, where teams look really good in the Zweite Liga or second divisions, and they move up to the top divisions and play poor, or vice versa. Look at Union Berlin. They're a great example. They've looked okay, and then when they came into the Bundesliga, they've been in there for the last 2-3 years now. So anything can happen. But I don't like the play in particular right now. But I will end the game on a positive note. I thought that a couple things for me really stood out. Obviously, the pressing that Gramozis' team instills at random times, it seems, is they press at the right times to cause turnovers. Not just in the Rostock game, but we've seen it throughout the season so far, where most of the time we're dropping back to midfield, but then other times we press. And it seems to be triggered by something Gramozis does, and it's almost always ends up well for us. So I like that. And then I think also the 5-3-1-1, whatever you want to call that defensive block at the end of the game, it was working. It was forcing Hansa really to get good quality chances, dig through our team. And at the beginning of the game, which had been like much all season, teams kept splitting the defense again, making those runs. And by dropping back like we did, it limited some of those opportunities. So while I don't like seeing the 5-3-1-1 at times, it seemed effective. It didn't allow a goal. So that and the pressing, I was positive on. I wonder what your thoughts are on both of those. You mentioned the pressing already, though.
I mean, like, it's definitely more cohesive than it was last year, both with Gramozis and without him last season. I mean, there's definitely, you understand what we're mostly trying to do in some situations. It's just not always kind of coming off for us. I do think it's interesting you kind of mentioned briefly. We have been susceptible to runners sort of right in the heart of the defense. We have not tracked those well. I don't know if it's like we're trying to do these offside traps something, but I don't think that's what they're intentionally trying to do at all. It's just, but they're not tracking them, and we keep getting beaten on those. Had some goals scored that way, and yeah, Rostock even had a couple.
It's a direct play. It's the one thing we've seen in the English league that works all the time, works a lot, but nowhere else. But it's working against us. Is a direct play. Many teams this season have done that against us, where it's a long pass from defense through over the top to defense, and they split us, and they got a chance. Hansa was doing that as well. I've noticed that direct play has been working well for everybody, and people are going to continue to do that unless we adjust.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's even the balls. Like, I mean, there's two players in really close proximity right in front of the defense, and then one of them just goes and no one runs with him, and the ball gets played in before he's off, and it's a lot of chances to get that way. I think Itakura's been involved in a lot of those. Not to single him out, but I mean, somebody to keep in mind. I also thought it was interesting. I thought at times. You can talk about that 5-3-1-1, but like I felt like our wingbacks defensively were a little bit too tight almost to the center back three, and that we were just kind of giving them those pockets of space down the wings from which to play balls in. And I don't know if that was like an intentional decision, like, hey, we're going to cede this ground to try to stay a little bit more, compact or whatever. But I almost kind of didn't like that because I felt like we made it way too easy for them to get where they wanted to be, at least, or you know what I mean? So something else to keep an eye on going forward to see if that was just kind of a fluke or whatever. But
I wonder if that was a result of them cutting through our defense that like they did. And it was just trying to them to, compact it so they wouldn't do that and then let them have whatever else they wanted. I don't know. I didn't like it either. But I did notice Owayan kept getting beat from behind too because he was so compact, and same thing on the right side with Aiden, and eventually I think it was Matriciani or whoever it was. But yeah, we have obviously some things to work on, but we win. Victory Monday. Next match is against Ingolstadt, one of the most poorest
Gotta
teams.
have it.
We have to have it. We talked about this before this 3-game stretch began, that we needed at least 7 points, I think. 6 points at minimum.
Yeah.
We got 3 points already. That's a start. Ingolstadt is the second worst team in the league. Most goals allowed in the league. They're giving 20 goals already. They're giving up 3 more goals than anybody else.
I'm not trying to say that, like, one game is going to determine how we feel about this team in general, but like this is one of those games where it's like, all right, if this Schalke team is reasonably serious, they're going to get their business done, handled against the single shot. I mean, they're going to get the result. And if we don't, and if we struggle and we look very unconvincing, I think it is going to be telling. I mean, yeah, if I'm really nervous for this game for some reason, and I probably shouldn't be, but I feel like it's going to be important.
I tell you why I'm nervous.
For momentum and for like the coaching situation. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm nervous because they have a new manager, Andre Schubert. I don't know if many people know him. He used to be a former St. Pauli manager. There was actually a great documentary on German coaches, and he was one of the coaches they mentioned in that back when he was in the St. Pauli days. I always liked him as a manager, but he's never really cut his teeth anywhere really well. And so you always fear when a new manager comes in, that's going to be a boost to the team opposition. And in this case, it very well could be the case. It could be the kick in the butt they needed just for at least one game. And you hate to be that game. That's us that they get that boost on. But I'm worried about this game as well, too. Hopefully the team comes in prepared, knowing that this is a big possibility, and they better have their A game and going and play much better. Hopefully the style of play is a little bit better than we saw against Hansa and a couple other teams here. But I think 3 points is absolutely necessary in this game. It's not a make or break for the season by any stretch, but we will feel a lot better if we get a win against Ingolstadt as opposed to any other result.
And it could be a win that has, a record broken or a record, met in terms of our talisman up top. So
that would be nice.
Definitely another one to keep an eye on.
That would be nice. 1 goal away from tying, 2 from breaking it. So yeah. Those 2 goals led Terodde into the best 11 of the week. I did want to share this because we have more than one player in this top 11 here. So as you see, let me make the screen big enough so I can see at least. So we had 3 players in the top 11.
4 with Bergstaller.
4 with Bergstaller. This is true. Bergstaller made it again. He's getting goals this year. He's getting goals, but not like Terodde. Terodde obviously makes it with his 2 goals. Ojan and Aiden, 2 guys who were key on Terodde's goals in the game. They played very well. We've been very high on both of them, especially Ojan this season. So it's good to see all 3 of them get in there. Terodde's 4th time he's made it into the team. 2nd for Ojan. 1st for Aiden. Good for Aiden. But yeah, I don't see any Ingolstadt players in there, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean first of all, congratulations to Aiden. As we said, really good performance. One of the better people on the pitch for us. And yeah, surprisingly assured and mature and confident and just kind of throughout the entire game. But yeah, even that once again that assist moment, for him to not panic as that window was closing and to find a play as smoothly as he did, like an outlet ball there, I think was very impressive. But yeah, just to have a team of the week where not only are there multiple Schalke players in it, which usually isn't the case for us, but a striker for one, and then both of our wingbacks, which as we said has been a position of it's been not ideal for us, in recent seasons. We had the John Joe Kenny loan as sort of a stopgap. Kenny Ludwig right last season at one point, yeah. So I mean, huge turnaround, and it's just nice to see that it's an improvement in some areas. We definitely need help.
No, I agree about that. So it's nice to see, and I feel bad for Ranfeld because we had so much high hopes for him coming to the season, and Cherlinov comes in and kind of takes his place, and now Aiden maybe is going to supplant Cherlinov possibly. Who knows? So we'll see. But no, I like what we're seeing so far. I do agree with Pascal's comment about Gramosis needing to. We've seen the defensive aspect get better, not where we want, but better. I think the next evolution of the team during the season is to see the attacking play get better as well. And that as the season goes on, we become more and more a complete team and get to where we want to be. I'd rather be a team developing and get to the final destination as opposed to a team who starts out very hot, like Regensburg traditionally does, and then drop off. I don't want to see that. So we're not there, obviously, because we haven't looked that great. But I think that's the next evolution I want to see. And Ryan says, we should not underestimate the fact that we are probably some kind of FC Bayern of the second division. Other teams want to give 120%. I agree 100% with this comment. I think big teams, when they come to Zweite Liga, everyone's going to give their best against them, because they don't often get these big clubs. If fans are going to be out there watching the games because they want to see these teams, and they're going to give their best. It's going to be a championship game for all these teams who don't get to see these, some of the smaller provincial sides, get a chance to play, big Schalke or big Hamburg or something like that. So I understand it's a very much a strong case in most weeks. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I agree somewhat. I guess I'd have to find more quotes of oppositions that are actually speaking to that. I haven't heard a lot of that this season.
No.
But I mean, I'm sure it's a little bit easier to potentially get up for a game. If you're a team like Rostock, for example, one of the return fixtures this season when it's at the Veltins Arena, I'm sure they're going to be like, wow, an opportunity to play in a great stadium like this. But at the same time, I feel like it's not like we're coming in with any sort of aura that's going to instill fear in the opposition.
We didn't win the Bundesliga last year.
I think this 120% effort would potentially be more true if we were actually a really good team at the moment, and we were very hot and kind of dominating the league and off to a really good start. I don't think we're a team that people have a ton of respect for. I mean, in terms of
maybe they're looking at their chops.
We're going to pull this upset against this big team and this, whatever. I think a lot of people go into games against Schalke at the moment. And yeah, maybe they're scared of Terodde, but they're like, this is a result that we can actually absolutely get. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'd like to hear potentially more from that. Some of the players and coaches to see if that actually is a factor at all. But
if you're a coach in a Zweite Liga, give us a call. Let us know.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're all listening. The funny thing, the thing I find that most hilarious with all this is that everyone knows Terodde is our main guy. We're going to focus on. They still can't stop him. Dude just scores. I'm so thankful to get him. By the way, before we end this, how nice were those red jerseys? I'm going to get me a Terodde jersey in red if I can find a way to get my hands on it.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people laughing at it because it's Roma essentially. But honestly, I thought it was pretty nice.
It was nice.
It's kind of a throwback, to the history of the club and everything. Yep. So I liked it. It was an unusual and sort of unique color for a third kit for us, something totally different. And as long as it's executed well and looks relatively, elegant, which I think it does, that it's nice to have something that's kind of a total change of pace, as long as it's not too wacky and just, weird. But
I think my favorite third jersey we've ever had was probably 2011 or 12. We had a jersey with purple on it. I can't remember exactly what it looks. I have to get a picture of it. It was so good looking. I want to say Rafinha was still on the team. Raul and Huntelaar, Drexler was still on the team. But yeah, anyway, I digress. Trust me on that one. All right, I think we can.
I have the seafoam green that we've been throwing in there a lot of seasons. I do like that as a third kit. Yes, also, occasionally when we go blackout jerseys or something like that, those are pretty cool. So.
I like the green ones we have this season. I don't have it somewhere around here, but I like that one as well. And I like the white ones that we had last year with the map of Gelsenkirchen on it. I like that a lot. I did like that. So
I was distracted by Pascal in the chat. Actively soliciting the return of Jens Keller, which I don't know.
Awesome. Anything else before we wrap this one up, Jack?
No, that's all for me.
That's all she wrote, huh? No, yeah. Let's wrap this one up. Next game, Ingolstadt, is on Sunday. Those on in the East Coast of the United States or Canada, it'll be at 7:30 in the morning. For locations like Jack, 6:30. If you're on the West Coast, 5:30. We're gonna do a live stream regardless. We'll see how this one turns out, but so far so good. Good reactions from the live stream so far as well, the watch along. So thank you for those who have joined us for each of those games. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you sign up for the Schalke US newsletter. While I'm talking about the newsletter, let me share a little bit of plug something for us. I'm gonna plug our website, new website. It's a work in progress, so bear with us. But here's our new website here. So you can take a look, and obviously it has links to all our videos and our podcasts. You can obviously join us on Twitter. There's our YouTube account, podcasts. If you don't know where to find them, they're all clickable here. Information on how you can watch the game, Schalke TV, listen on the radio, sign up for the Schalke US newsletter. Obviously, you can get gear to Schalke gear or SchalkeMerica gear. Support the podcast. And then again, sign up for the Schalke US newsletter. Just sign on your email address and get it once a week. And you keep up on all the up-to-date information on Schalke. It's very easy way to keep up with the club and what's going on if you don't check on the website often. So definitely give that a look and a listen and a follow. So keep tuning in with us each week as we bring you the latest from the Royal Blues. We'd like to thank Schalke, ExpressVPN, and OneFootball for providing us tidbits on our podcast today, Jack. Any topics anyone wants us to talk about or do videos on, segments, let us know at SchalkeMerica. Jack, anything to plug or where can our followers find you on social media?
You can find me at JMMangan, JMMangan on Twitter. Definitely second that ExpressVPN and OneFootball shout out. Through them, all things are possible this season, or at least some things are possible relative to the zero that would be possible without them. And of course, shout out NBC4 Nashville as always. That's all for me.
Holler. As always, you can follow me at R_KHARMAN. Thank you for everyone in the chat, everyone listening in. We appreciate your support. And so until the next podcast comes or live stream watch along, we'll catch you on the next episode. Tschüss.